Okay. Well, I'm starting this at kind of an odd time, and the upgrade is still not completed, so I don't know how this will look. It's kind of an experiment at this point. Anyway, good morning, everyone. Today is April 7th, 2020, and I'm Roy Potter. Welcome as you come in. Things are getting really dicey, aren't they? Good morning, everyone. Again, there we are. I couldn't have found a better cup. I'm not 100% right. No one ever is. The best, when you're in a war, especially, the best that intelligence can offer you is an ever-changing situation. That's about the way it is. But you try to get the basics down and then move from there. So anyway, here's to you all. Uh, my table for my coffee is just beyond my reach without going out of the camera or changing the picture. So pardon me for a second. All right. Well, I had one of my subscribers on Twitter, one of my followers, and I follow her. She's been putting out some really good things, and I don't mention names on here, even if she's on here by another name or whatever. She'll know who she is when I bring this up. And she's been doing some pretty good work. Brought out some information on the propaganda under the Nazi reign there in Germany, and the whole thing with what Goebbels was doing. Goebbels is how they say it, but Goebbels, I think, is how it's actually said. And she said, well, she noticed the post that I made. She put up some information on how propaganda is used, especially against the people of its own country, which, of course, as you all know by now, or you should, the United States made it legal for the CIA and the intelligence community to make propaganda against the American people and to actually use it against us. And then not only made it legal, but then funded it, which they didn't need to do because the CIA has tons of black ops money that they don't even have to show where it comes from. But I guess that they had to, since they were doing it legally, that they wanted to make the entire situation legal. But at any rate, so this lady said, would you please come on and discuss how propaganda works and what's going on today? And I thought about it, but I really see, I don't want to get off in the weeds. I don't want to get off in the weeds. Suffice it to say that your government has okayed the intelligence community and indeed the international community, both ICs, to lie to us. And your Congress permitted this. So no matter what I say about what's happening, you may even be able to recognize each individual circumstance. The fact is that you just have to be honest with yourself that if a government says it's going to fund propaganda against you, that they're going to do it. And that at that point on, everything they say and do, everything you hear from them, everything you see from them, everything you think you hear from them, everything you think you see from them, you can no longer believe. That's just the bottom line. Now, the specific point that I addressed is that we have been under and I know people are not going to want to hear this, but if you've been watching my Twitter posts and you've been listening to my YouTube videos, you know where I'm going. I no longer believe that President Trump is on our side. That's just the way it is. I've never seen such showmanship. These briefings that are going on with Fauci and Birx. There are no hardball questions. He never gets involved. It's like they've talked about it behind the scenes, and then he allows them to come out with this BS that they have every single time. Bill Gates is running the show, and the only thing that he does of any significance, and it's not significant, is to show how powerful he is against the media. And I'm not saying they don't deserve it. Being put down, being put in their place, being directly confronted, that's not what I'm talking about. Okay? But it's interesting that that's the only time he gets tough. That and in front of his rallies. But behind the scenes, he has no power. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, he has none. And it's blatantly obvious from everything the DOJ and the FBI has done. Ray's still working. The FOIA thing that Tom Fitton and Chris Farrell from Judicial Watch have been trying to do to get the DOJ to release its information, and the FBI has been shut down. The good thing is, apparently, the court has decided that Hillary has to testify, but I suspect there are going to be some more legal maneuvers there, and of course, they're not going to have it done, at least nowhere near in the near future, because of this whole thing. It's like I said many, many months ago. It looks like even President Trump is complicit in kicking this can down the road as far as they can until they get things in place. Hello, Jesse. I see you there. BP Earthwatch. Hi, Edelson. Everybody. So, what I'm saying is that what I'm seeing, okay, and all these people are getting upset at me for this. I'm sorry, okay, but I'm not making this observation without experience, okay. What I see is a complicit Trump involved in all of this. And he has been there, just as I said, to pacify us, to sedate us. And he's continuing to do so now. The big deal is, oh, look how he put that CNN reporter down. Oh, look what he said to this lady from Hong Kong. Oh, look how he's so tough up there. He's destroying the nation at this point, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? All the things that the Democrats accused him of, they did that so that we would say, no, our leader would never do that. We're going to stick by him now because no matter what he does, we're going to support him. I see that from everybody from Dan Bongino to Lou Dobbs, although Lou Dobbs is getting a little pissed now too. So I'm going on record right now that there's something wrong. And a lot of people are saying, oh, no, Roy, this presidential seal, they don't have it up when other people are talking at the podium. What are you talking about? The president invites people up to the presidential podium. What are you talking about? When he's at his rallies, he has the presidential seal there, right? And he invites people up to speak. And how long does it take to change? If they know the president is coming out there, how long does it take them to change the seal, to change the White House podium to the seal? And where the hell's the flag? Now, a lot of people think this isn't a big deal. Ladies and gentlemen, when you add all of these things up, it's like radiation. It's cumulative. One little mistake wouldn't mean anything. One little oversight, one little anomaly wouldn't mean anything. But when you get all of these things descending in one spot at the same time, you have to call it for what it is. He's either been promised that he's going to be president of the world, or he's been totally castrated. It's one of the two. And I'm sorry, but that's the way I've got to view it. You can't be the president of the United States and allow what's happening in this country. The governors, many of the governors of the states, many mayors are going absolutely tyrannically out of their minds. And they never did it with anything else. Either one, they've all been led on that there's some terrible event coming, whether it's a war or this asteroid that's supposed to hit us, which I'm not saying couldn't happen. I mean, there's plenty of stuff flying around in space. Or they're going to, let off a nuclear weapon. Now, I've been looking at the deployments as best I can of what I see the military doing at this point. And of course, that information isn't readily available, and I don't have the surveillance capability to actually check all of these things out. I'm just admitting that up front. But from what I've seen thus far, if there was going to be a catastrophic, if they know that there's going to be a catastrophic explosion in the North Atlantic because of an asteroid or a nuclear weapon to cause a tidal wave, whatever, and I know this is on a lot of the tarot cards and some of the other things that are out there that have proven to be true. Moving those heavy mechanized assets on the East Coast where they have wouldn't make a lot of sense to me unless they want to destroy that too. I suppose that's a possibility. But I don't think that's what this is. I think that the catastrophic event is that they're not going to reopen the economy, and that we are going to have, from coast to coast, murder and mayhem, roving bands. You know, all these things were talked about in the 1800s. You've heard me talk about it before. Yeah, I think this whole thing is a distraction. And China, you got to understand, China, remember at Davos, Xi Jinping, and I keep pointing this out, back in 2017, Xi Jinping at Davos said that he would ensure that Trump and the United States are forced back in the New World Order. Trump's not. China's taken over the South China Sea, and we've got a presence there. But what I'm looking at, I almost don't care. Yes, BP, robberies are going up. Wait till I tell you about what's happened around here. So the United States is the golden goose. The United States is the ultimate prize, and your freedom and your life, your liberty, is what they're really after. Bill Gates is a demon. YouTube might take me down. Like I said, I don't care. I've been shooting my mouth on Twitter. You know, it's obvious I mean, the biblical proportions of this are absolutely incredible. That we're seeing in the physical world a replay of what happened in the war in heaven. It is absolutely incredible. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm at this point, who is the face that's pushing that everybody in the world, I mean, there are a lot of people saying this, okay, Fauci, Birx, Henry Kissinger, and others, but who is the face of this thing that we have to all be stamped, be tattooed, have a mark put in us so that they can tell if we're, what we're well, or that we paid our taxes, or that we've seen the doctor yesterday, or that, whatever. It's Bill Gates. Whether he is the bad person whether he's causing us to worship the image of the beast, or whether he is something else, he's right on the cutting edge of that. And again, I don't care if you believe the Bible or not, because the bad side uses it as a playbook, as I've said before, just like we do. So this is all very concerning. In one way, I was talking to my son the other day, and I actually told him, I'm actually at the point now where I want to rejoice, because everything is so wicked, the debauchery, the transgressions of the people. And I'm not talking about sex between men and women. The Christians always want to take you there because they've got something against the male-female relationship, which is very strange considering what's going on right now. No, I'm talking about the transgenderism, the pedophilia, the homosexuality. And again, I'm going to tell you, okay, the Bible doesn't talk about women and women. It only talks about men and men in that situation. So, I know that really frosts a lot of people's minds, and I don't want to get off on the weeds on it. But what we've been led to believe is good and bad are totally different from what they really are. And you're going to hear some things going on. Like I said, I'm having to change some things this morning because everything's in chaos even around here. Okay, all right. I saw a comment on Twitter the other day, and I think it was by this same lady, and I think that told me about this, what she wanted me to approach, the psychological thing, the propaganda. She said, isn't it interesting that Bill Gates is talking about, he's done everything, like in Microsoft sends out, their operating system, and then I wonder who it was, she's kind of making the suggestion, I think she's right, who do you think it was that then made the viruses to infect our computers, so then we had to buy spyware and all those other things, right? Evil geniuses do things like that. Now you take that paradigm, you take that example of what he probably did in the computer industry, created the operating system, and then created the viruses so that you have to keep, fixing your computers, right? Plus that allows them to add more things, and now they do it automatic anyway. But you take that plan, you take that template, and you put it over what Gates is doing now, and it's the same thing. He's no doctor. He's not an epidemiologist. All the things everybody's saying, I won't repeat all that stuff. The point is, that he's going by the same playbook he did with Microsoft. Do you see that? And Trump is letting him do it. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Fauci is Gates' spokesman. And even if they take Fauci out, because he's a rotten salesman, he's a rotten salesman, they'll find somebody else, but Gates and Fauci will be calling the shots, and then whoever else up the line, whether it's Soros, and I don't think Soros is in on this part of it. Henry Kissinger has been guiding it to some extent, and it looks like there's some other powerful people up the line. But President Trump he's not exercising his power. He's not. And deliberately. I don't think it's, he's not playing the victim. He's not whining anymore because he doesn't have the power. It's because he doesn't want to exercise it. Or possibly they've taken it from me, but I'm not quite sure that's what happened. I think something else is going on here. I don't know what it is, but it's not good. Okay. A lot of people have been making excuses for President Trump, especially on this thing on the presidential seal, and I'm not going to get wound around the axle on it. All I'll say is, ladies and gentlemen, you people that are doing that are trying to explain all of these things away, why don't you take a break from trying to constantly defend this man and start looking at it critically? Okay? Start taking the other side and asking the hard questions. Because going along with this isn't going to save you. And as it stands right now, as Jesse pointed out, robberies are increasing, crimes are increasing, the stores are emptying out. You've heard about Walmart. They're not going to sell seeds, that's not essential. Are you kidding me? And during a depression, even a recession, that seeds are not essential items? Do you see what they're doing? This is Maoist China. It's Stalinist Russia. And frankly, it's worse than Hitler's Nazi Germany. Bread lines, empty shelves. Again, you know what's sad? I'm afraid the American people deserve it, because we've swallowed everything these evil people have given to us. We've accepted it all. We've tolerated it all. We've even said that if you speak out against it, you can be fined, jailed, lose your job, lose your house, whatever. We haven't stood up for principle. So you know what? The devil, if you look at this thing from a biblical situation, God withdraws his support, his defense of you, and says, okay, devil, have at it. You know, let them accept everything that you're going to give them, and then you're going to turn and rend them. You're going to turn and destroy them, because that's what he's really after. That's what the devil and these psychopaths and sociopaths are really about. They offer you something so that they can use it to later destroy you, and it's usually something demented or debased. They'll give you 99 lies to tell you that one, or 99 truths to tell you that one lie. And that's what Gates is doing. And that's what Trump is doing with this little show that he puts on all these rallies and at this briefing every day. While his DOJ, FBI, and his entire bureaucracy is running wild. Oh, he can't do anything about that, Roy. He doesn't have the support. Yeah, okay. Then he needs to tell us what's happening, and he's not. He's hiding behind his bravado. It's like the scripture says, that I read, Daniel 8. He's so pumped up in his heart, he really thinks he's something, even though he's nothing. No, I've lost all trust in him. And Gigi is going to be mad at me. I know everybody else is. So is Nancy. Well, Nancy Morgan Hart's called him out a few times, but this is really getting bad. And I mean publicly. Okay? We can't, it's like I said in one of my videos, ladies and gentlemen, you all who help do these things, you got to stop worrying about your followers and your money. You just got to speak the truth. You can't, look, they're demonetizing it. They demonetized We Are Change. They've attacked Brian on the vlogs things. He's changed his name several times, so I forget what that is, but you all know what I'm talking about. They're doing this across the board. And he's done nothing on the First Amendment situation. As a matter of fact, he's with Barr's situation, with what he's doing with Operation Guardian, he's actually pushed the social media companies into surveilling you even more. So I don't want to beat that dead horse, but you have to stop. We don't need to defend Trump. You don't need to do that. You need to tell him that he needs to do his job. And don't give him excuses. It's like Mark Pantano says. The reason why he's not doing these things on illegal immigration and all that is because he doesn't have to. His base isn't even demanding it. This has been an incredible propaganda campaign and delusion. It's like I said, we couldn't be much worse if Hillary Clinton had been elected. Oh, it would have happened a lot faster. Yeah, maybe that would have been good. So we're in trouble. By the way, this podcast this morning is also kind of an experiment because I am testing where the system is right now. So hopefully, if this works out well, then we'll do some formal things later. My doctor friend called me because I've been asking him to keep me in track on what's happening on the West Coast. The hospitals are not overflowing. This is from my doctor, okay, who works in a major medical center. They are not inundated with patients. Now, you've been hearing this from a lot of different people. Well, in the Bay Area and San Francisco, that's true. Okay, at least there it's true. They're not overwhelmed. It's nothing like what Fauci and Birx or anybody else has said it was going to be. Now, what if it had been? Would that still justify the draconian measures we're going under? Ladies and gentlemen, quarantines are for the sick, not for the well. That's all I'll say about it. So at any rate, from my doctor, it's not what they say it is, as far as how it's taken so many people out. It is affecting primarily the elderly, others that are compromised, and there are some other anomalies that are in there for whatever reasons. But this thing was deliberately released, like I said it was, as a bioweapon in one shape, in one form or another, so that they would have a reason to cover whatever this is, this destruction of the economy, the worldwide takedown to bring in the New World Order. And no, this isn't Trump and the good guys taking out the bad people. The good guys are not in control right now. I don't care what anybody tells you. It's just not true. The good part is that if you believe in the scriptures again, God will laugh them to scorn. He will have them in derision. Their own actions will destroy them. They will destroy their own system thinking they're going to put something else in. And hopefully somewhere along the line, we get an upload from God, or he sends us, he fixes this somehow. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Of course, stopping outside activities is totally ridiculous. The paddleboarder out in the middle of on the beach there in the water, and how they, 2 speedboats and all those cops out there for 1 paddleboarder. Do you see where the police state is going? And these are all millennial cops now, primarily. These are all cops that grew up listening to all this PC crap. And they've been reinforced with it in their schools and in their training. So the one place you're probably the safest is out in the fresh air and the sunlight. And they don't want that, as many people have pointed out, and I'm sure you don't need to hear it from me. That's why I say you have to look at everything that's happening, the convergence of events here, and not give President Trump, if he's still president, not give him excuses not to act by covering for him and giving him the license, the permission to keep acting in this ridiculous fashion that he is. Last week, when I started talking about, again, the things that are happening during these briefings, especially when the military people came out during, or just prior to the briefing on the coronavirus, on the Wuhan virus. I listened to that intently afterwards. I don't know if I came back on and really commented on what I heard. What I will say is this. It's not what they're telling us. Venezuela is not a major supplier of drugs to the U.S. It's Colombia, it's other South American countries, Mexico. Venezuela has not been historically a place where a great deal of drugs are coming from, or Maduro doing that, okay? It just isn't. So I think my estimate of the situation is probably right. They're going to go into Venezuela. That might be what's going to kick this whole thing off. That could kick off a war with China and Russia. Now you might ask, and this is legitimate, I'm not saying it isn't, that if the New World Order is behind supporting China and China supports Venezuela, why would Trump and our military go to war against China and Russia? Ladies and gentlemen, it's called a sacrifice. War is a sacrifice. They sacrifice us for their images. They sacrifice the blood of millions of innocents to their gods. They don't need a right and wrong reason to go to war. They just want the war. Do you understand? It's not about China's bad being in Venezuela and we've got to kick China out of there. That's not the issue, because that wouldn't that be Satan? Jesus said, a house divided against itself cannot stand. Well, the devil divides his house all the time. That's what he does. Because they don't care about the right and wrong side of this thing. All they want is the death and destruction. So stop trying to look at it from the point of view of strategically, like you think you're thinking, because it's not working that way during this time period. It's not like that. If it ever was, it certainly isn't now. I really appreciate it when I get messages that say, bless you, thank you for what you're doing and all of that. Even though my influence is very minimal. I often, like yesterday, I wrote several people, friends on Twitter, saying, I think, matter of fact, I mentioned this to Mark Pantano. I said, this is ridiculous. I think that we're all wasting our time. We just need to go find a place and hunker down with friends and family and just wade through until the end of this. And they're not going to let you do that, of course. They're going to come after you. We know that. Because it's like Sauron in the Lord of the Rings. These people want to control all life and then destroy it, no matter where you are. And if you don't come to that conclusion really quick, you're going to be caught with your pants down, bent over, which they're doing to us anyway. But I've had a lot of people say a lot of nice things. One is shalom. Of course, in Hebrew, that means, a lot of people say it means peace. And it kind of does. Yerushalayim is actually the city of peace, okay, Jerusalem, which is kind of a misnomer in a lot of ways. But actually, it means something far greater than that. And that's what I want to leave you with today. And then I'll go to chat, okay? You notice a lot of times, because people say that the next world, they've really misinterpreted for reasons to control you, that in the next world there is neither marriage nor giving in marriage nor male and female. They took a discussion about law and they applied it to what God created us to be. You notice the entire movement now, including George Orwell's 1984, and of course, Brave New World, was to do away with the male-female relationship and destroy, if you're not grown-ups here, I'm sorry, but I'm just going to say it, the sexual relationship and the orgasm. As if that's something evil. Well, what it is, you notice, things do get tweaked, okay? If it was written in the scriptures the way it was meant to be written, it was changed by somebody later on, okay? That's the very bottom line. So in that vein, and in everything else, your labors, the laborer is worthy of his hire. You go out and you plow a field and you have fruit and you have food to eat and you build your house. Life is meant to be enjoyed, not just trouble all the time. As a matter of fact, there was never supposed to be trouble except in this school. Well, so you've heard me say many times that Jesus said about all of the things about this life and the next. He said, I would that you will have life and that more abundantly, not less. In other words, everything that's good, everything that's here that means something, that binds you in love and strength and devotion to others, including the relationship between a husband and wife. I would that you would have life, and that not less in this world or the next, but more abundantly. And in fact, that's what shalom really means. The ancient Israelites Yeah, they had a bad history. They had a good history, good things, bad and forth. But the lessons in those verses are the best in the world. So I'll leave that little message with you today. Like I said, this is more of a trial and error to see how the system is working at this point. Later on this week, I may do a formal, presentation of one sort or another. Yeah, I think we're headed in. We're not headed into bad times. Like I said about a week ago, people were saying, "Well, this is just a beta test." I think Alex Jones said that, and some other people. They're just testing. This is kind of the first run. No, no, they've got us by the short hairs, and they've got their fists back, and they're ready to punch us, and they already are punching us. So I think it's going down. If you're not prepared, at least minimally, you're going to have some problems. The bread lines are already starting. Nancy Morgan Hart, I tweeted it out this morning about the bread lines already starting. And of course, Walmart and other stores restricting what you can get, saying it's not, you're already in the store and they're saying, well, you can't buy these items because they're non-essential. What? The point of the non-essential things was so that you don't supposedly, get too close to people, but you're already in the store. What do they mean you can't buy items that you want? This is socialism, ladies and gentlemen. You're seeing the start of it, and Trump's behind it. He gave all those green lights to these socialists. He'd say one thing, but he'd do something else. And in some situations, he actually said, take the guns first and then do process, right? Yeah, ban bump stocks. Like he can do that without compensating people for taking their property, which Mark Pantano has pointed out. I forget the constitutional name of it. Right? He hasn't fought for your First Amendment, right? Look what's happened. After all that's happening right now, law and order. Remember, he ran on law and order. Oh, yeah? Well, not if it's government. And he certainly isn't going against illegal immigration the way he should. Again, they're putting all these ships and things in the Caribbean and on the East Pacific, right? Our West Pacific coast. But none on the border. He's relying on Mexico to put their army on the border. You know how laughable that is? That is so disgustingly laughable. It's unbelievable. He's given the green light to these tyrants, these governors and mayors who are doing these things. He's given them a green light to do it. DOJ isn't out there protecting your rights? Oh, no. Oh, no, not at all. Well, anyway, I think you know how I feel, and I'm sorry, but, it's like I said, I'll call it like I see it. And if you don't like it, like some of the people that got upset about, they're doing everything they can to explain away this presidential seal thing. The one time, and there may have been some others, but yeah, occasionally the president will show up at a conference or something, and they won't have it set up for him. Okay, like Obama came in on a presser once, and they didn't have it set up for him, and I know that. But these things with the coronavirus briefings are planned every single day. There's no excuse unless they're sending us a message. Okay, I said I was going to start at the bottom. This time on the when I came on, I wasn't going to go all the way to the top, so I'm going to just back up a little bit and let's see what some of you are saying. I've missed a lot here. 5G is a definite problem. I was just going to tell you they are putting it in the schools around here as well. I didn't take any pictures because I was out on a walk and I didn't do it. But that's what they're doing, all right, for sure. And not just the Costco's, but other stores now are limiting the number of people inside. A lot of shelves are still bare, and they're refusing to sell certain items. Okay, not that they don't have them, like seeds, they're just refusing to sell them. They're trying to starve us out. This is modern day siege warfare. And you got to open your eyes and admit it. And that Trump's not telling you the entire story. Oh, he's trying to protect us so that we don't panic. You don't think people aren't panicking right now? Oh, and it's going to get worse. And he's doing nothing more than feeding what's coming. He's feeding it. Okay, he is. And I have no respect for him any longer. America is Babylon, green-eyed Okie. That's true. When I look at the scriptures now and it talks about the merchants being upset about the fall of Babylon and their mercantile system. Yeah, that's right. That's right. But don't forget, they're actually destroying it on purpose now so that they can take not just control, but total control over everything, all life. Okay, that's what they're about. Please talk about Obama. Obama is also a very bad person. Why do I have to talk about Obama? I know he's behind the scenes. He's been running the shadow government. And what did Trump do about it? Why do you keep wanting to go back to Obama? Trump is the problem now. Obama is behind the scenes doing things. His shadow government, we're probably working very closely with the continuity of government and all that. I realize that. Don't give Trump the pass. Obama's an evil man. Yes, he is. Yeah, hospitals are being bankrupt. Yeah, while they're saying that all of these horrible things are happening with Wuhan virus, they they've been letting staff go, putting them on furlough. Yeah, this is all BS. And if Trump is listening to Fauci and Birx and really doesn't know what's going on, you're not going to hold him accountable for his ignorance, stupidity, or complicity? Come on. He's the president of the United States, and he falls that easily for their lines. He's either very, very stupid or he's complicit, okay? Yeah, yeah, you're right. That's where we're going. Even the most stout-hearted man will tremble and his bowels will be loosened, for this is not a thing understandable to men. Yeah, not only that, but yeah, their livers will not, yeah, they'll check their liver and they'll realize they don't have the guts to go forward to stop this. Men's hearts shall fail them. Yeah, a lot of people have, and I admit it. And like I said, more brutal 2020 says I've been saying this for 3 years, and I realized that I went back and forth. I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but you notice when I knew he did something bad, I would call it out. And now, finally, with all of this that's going on, no, I see people on Twitter and some on YouTube saying, "Oh, get behind and stand behind our president. Stand behind our president. He's going to do the right thing." No, he's not. No, he's not. Oh, he's fooling them all. He's going to come up behind them and he's going to, grab them when they're not looking. It doesn't work that way, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, ventilators are apparently bad. Doctors are saying the problem is hypoxia. Hypoxia? Yeah, I think that's it. Not hyperpop. Anyway, it's I forgot the medical term, but yeah, it's the fact that the oxygen isn't making it into the cells, and it's not because of pneumonia. See, everything has been lied about. Everything has been lied about. And it looks like the 5G is involved in it somehow, or very well likely be. And I see these people out there say, "Oh, stop being conspiracy theorists about the 5G. Let's look at this thing realistically." Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you what, I am looking at realistically. These people that say that there aren't frequency weapons and plasma weapons and those things, yes, there are. Yes, there are. And you don't think that they won't use them against us? Yes, they will. And likely they are. Chicken Little said so, and there's some truth to that. The only way to shut the evil system down is to unplug it all. But look who's in control. Okay, look who's in control. It's not Trump. He's lapping at Gates's feet. People in the upper societies, the upper social echelons, they rub elbows, even with bad people. They can't help it. All of us run into bad people, and just because we've associated with them on a very limited basis doesn't mean that they're our best friends or that we agree with what they do. We have to admit to ourselves that Trump had contact with Epstein. Trump contact with the Clintons, very close contact. He even called them good people right after he was elected and asked if he was going to prosecute him. He called them good people. I have a lot of respect for Melania. It's not just because she's pretty, but because she stood up and said the Lord's Prayer in Florida at that one early rally after he became president, and apparently even startled Trump. I don't think he knew that she was going to do that. I think she's a genuine person, but by the same token, and I can't verify this, but there are a lot of people that have said it, that it was Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, however you say her name, that introduced Trump to Melania. What does that tell you? Okay. Yeah, Star, that's right. If the borders had been enforced, there wouldn't be shortages in that now. Oh no, but they want to have two carrier attack groups and those things out in the ocean on Venezuela's shores. You know, I know, and they're trusting the Mexican government to watch our border. The very people that are infiltrated and even controlled by the cartels. Give me a break. Well, hi, Kay Smalls. Thank you for all your help. I know I saw, I don't know if I responded to you, but I saw your messages to me. And if I didn't get back to you, I'm sorry. Thank you for all the offers you've made to help me with all sorts of things. It'll be a while, if ever, now that I'm set up to do all that stuff that you're trying to help me with. So thank you. But please keep coming here. All of you mods that come and help me, I appreciate it. There are people on here, I won't say who they are, who want me to contact them so they can give me information. That's a really bad idea for you and for me. Okay, if you can't talk about it on Twitter DM, if you can't if you can't post it publicly, go to my Twitter DM and send it to me there. I'm not giving you my email address. I mean, people can find this stuff anyway, right? As a matter of fact, I get things. I'm getting spammed by something called somebody calling them Gmail right now, and they spam me like crazy. I'll get 50 to 100 messages from these idiots every day. Unfortunately, there's no way to block them on email, at least not that I know of. If anybody knows that, K Smalls, if you know how to do that, you might let me know. And it looks like good information, but what they're really doing is they're just trying to waste my time. That's really what it comes down to. Flood my accounts and waste my time. And no, I don't go through them. I just empty them all out. I don't even pay attention to it. No, I didn't say tarot cards are true, Robin Feynman. Um, some earlier tarot cards showed Trump being president, showed the burning of the Twin Towers, those types of things. There's no doubt that these things are planned years in advance, and certain secret societies will let some of the information out in rather nefarious places. And if you know where to look, you'll find it. The Simpsons came out with some things. Some of it's coincidence, some of it is, but I really think most of it's planned. I mean, think about it. If the scriptures are real, if the whole situation about the God and the devil, if all that's real, I'm just giving you a way out. I do believe that, but let's just give you a way out. If that is true, you don't know who you've been in the past. You don't know who you were before. The devil does, and he knows how to play you. He knows you better than you know yourself. He's not really that smart. He just has the advantage of knowing what's behind the scenes. Okay, so I think those things are true. Yeah, Tony Blassetti, I've got him, and I've been really disappointed with Alex Jones. He's tried to come out and defend himself, and I don't blame him for that. Yeah, I saw that where he was talking about the Q thing and all that, and I did see where Zach Voorhees disavowed him and all that. All these people overreact, but Alex Jones, um, Alex Jones tried to, and I've said this before. I appreciate what Alex has done. I really like David Knight and some others on there, but Alex tried to grow too fast. You know, he's always saying he has to grow or he'll be minimized. But he was looking for he got like the mainstream media. He had to have stories because he grew so fast that he had a huge organization with employees that he had to feed. So he sacrificed accuracy, truth, and a few other things which I probably shouldn't say for the sake of growing his business under the pretense that it's so that he could get information out at a faster rate. And he not only reached the point of diminishing returns, I usually don't listen to him anymore. If he doesn't tell me in the first 15 minutes what the important issues are, and all he does is he just keeps talking, kind of like I am now, but you know, a little different situation here. But if he does that, I turn him off. I don't listen to him. I can't stand the continuous run on commercial. Pardon me a minute, I got to plug in the power. Should have done this earlier, but I was delinquent. Okay, let's see where we are here. Comet Atlas will hit the sun. Yeah, there are a lot of things floating around. They say that thing's about the size of Mount Everest, right? Isn't that the one? By the way, there is an old, and it didn't make it into the New Testament, but there is I'll just call it a pseudepigrapha that says that Jesus is talking and he says, "And they will say of my coming that it is a planet or a comet." They will say of my coming it is a planet or a comet. Now, who would Jesus be? Jesus would be an invader, according to the people that rule this world, right? You remember War of the Worlds. You remember Independence Day. You know, these people are against us and our system. Well, of course, the people that control Hollywood would consider Jesus an enemy, and they would cast him in the light of an evil invader. Just think about that. I'm not saying there aren't bad extraterrestrials or interdimensional beings. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I think a lot of this is to try to tell us that the return of Jesus or his representative is something that they're really worried about and would like to cast that in a negative light. Just think about it from there. Put yourself in the shoes of people like Gates, Soros, Kissinger, the Rothschilds, and I'd say even Trump at this point. Jesus would be an enemy, and you'll portray him as being an evil extraterrestrial. Janine Cogliera, I was worried about. Roy, you were worried about me? Why is that? Because I tried to give Trump every benefit of the doubt. I do that. I do it in my personal life too. I give people the benefit of the doubt, sometimes to my own detriment. But I would rather err. You know, some people say, well, you gotta make sure that people don't take advantage of you, and there's truth to that. But in my personal dealings, I want to give people the benefit of the doubt because I want to err on the side of caution for their benefit. Politicians, I don't give them as much of a chance. I gave Trump 3 years and he failed me in every instance. He failed us in every instance. He's failing us now. He's destroying the country. He's going along with it. Oh, he might open it up eventually, but the damage is already done, and it's extreme. We're the Bismarck, and we're going down. Yeah, Tony, you're right about him saying he knows who Q is and all that. See, Alex is trying to save face now. That's what I mean. His ego is, and that's the problem. You know, he says he doesn't have an ego. You know that ain't true. All you have to do is watch him once, and you know he has an ego. I'm not saying he isn't sincere in his beliefs in God and his emotional when he breaks down emotionally. I'm certain many of them, maybe not all of them, many of them are true. 5G is probably linked to Mercury. People have been covering that pretty well. The flu shots have the aerosol, and the mercury basically reacts under the 5G radiation and causes the body to lose oxygen, the blood to lose oxygen. It does something to the hemoglobin. Yeah, I think that's very possible. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I don't know that. But I know about frequency weapons. I know about plasma weapons. I know, and I think that's very true. I think that's very likely what's going on. Home Depot stopped selling seeds around here. Austin, Clementine, they don't do it either. They've stopped. Home Depot no longer sells seeds, at least not here. I don't know bipolar truth. I don't know about that. Asking if $1,200 is equal to $30 in silver, like the 30 pieces of silver that Judas had. I don't know. Could be. I don't know that. Yeah, Jack Kennedy. Good point. Yeah, Nancy Morgan Hart of Headlines with a Voice is reporting that when polled, most Americans want more restrictions because they're afraid. Americans are down on their knees. They beg for government to save them. Man, have we changed in the last over 200 years. We've so changed. Now they're begging for restrictions. They report on their neighbors for playing basketball or lifting weights out in their garage. Called on that guy out there, I suspect, out there on Malibu Beach on his little paddle board all by himself. That's why I say, you see how evil Americans have become, by and large. And 70% want more travel restrictions. Do you see how evil we are? We're evil. Destruction might be the only way out. It really might be the only way out. And that'll make the devil happy. We played right into the hands, and God couldn't do anything because that's what we chose. Like I said, God doesn't send judgment. He just stands back and he says, okay, it's like your kid, the first time they go to touch the fire on the stove, right? You pull their hand back, you say hot, and try to show them it's hot. If they do it again, what do? They're going to get burned. As best you tried to tell them not to, they're going to. Yeah, Edelson, I'm worried about people's lives too. Very much so. I think about all the people I've known over the years and truly loved the greater majority of them. Yeah, yeah. And if any of you have lost a loved one really close, it means a lot more to you. You know what that's like: the emptiness, the broken heart, the grief. Yeah. What's this? Netman Reg H. Cliven Bundy is leading a revolt against this government lockdown. It's on Drudge Report. Well, okay. I'll go see what I can see about it. But all right. I appreciate what the Bundys did on their own ranch, but after that, it all got out of control. And actually, even at the ranch, it got out of control. I couldn't believe when Bundy was telling the sheriff, well, go and arrest all the. I mean, it wouldn't have been a bad idea, but the demand that the sheriff go and disarm the whole BLM, do you realize how ridiculous that was? When he said that, I just backed up. I went, oh boy. And then after that, oh, somebody's deleting mess. Thanks, K Small, for taking care of me. Yeah, it's a Jacobin revolution. It's the French Revolution all over again, and Nazi Germany, and Trotskyism, Marxism, Leninism, all that all over again. Maoism, yeah. And here the government of the United States has convinced us to fight against these people for the last 60 years, and now we're telling everybody that we have to become them. Does this make any sense to anybody? You see how they change the rules? The government now thinks the constitutionalists are the enemy, the Christians are the enemy, gun owners, veterans. It used to be that we were trying to keep people like Schumer and Pelosi and Gates under control. And now that's all switched around because they got the reins of government. Gina, always a VIP. I'd like to throw money on the counter and walk out. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about the asteroid. I know it's out there, but so are a lot of others. So I don't know what to think of that yet. I cannot believe that because an asteroid is going to hit on the in the Atlantic Ocean, which is the prediction, that they would go to these draconian measures. Frankly, I don't think they give a damn. Really, think about it. Do you really think they give a damn? Trying to keep us in our homes to keep us safe? No, no, no. I don't believe that. They just as soon us all be on the beaches when this thing hits. Because if you're on a beach when this thing hits, I don't care where in the world you are, if it's as big as they say it is, I don't care where you are, you're gone. So no, I don't believe that they're keeping us inside so that they keep us safe. I don't believe that at all. Yeah, obituaries, K Smalls. Thank you. Yeah, that's a problem, and we ran into that with I'm gonna say it on the Sandy Hook thing. About the obituaries and the stats. They didn't match up. They didn't. And again, I don't care if somebody throws me off of here. I don't care. I don't care. I've given my message out. It's been out for some time. Spinning wheels, thank you. Oh, you say thank you for your service, Roy. Thank you for standing up for us in the platform. I'm sure it's helping us to unite. Well, thank you, Spinning Wheel 8. I appreciate that. Like I said, I'm a small voice. I did this for selfish reasons. I had a lot of karma to unload. By the way, I think it actually worked. I've been having some very interesting spiritual experiences lately, and I think my efforts have been accepted. I'm just waiting for one more thing to verify it. Just one more thing. And TJ Jones, I don't care if you respectfully disagree. That's a healthy thing. I don't mind that. It's calling names and those things that get aggravated. All I'm really saying is don't give a guy who asks for a job a pass. If you have a business and you hire somebody to do a job and they give you every excuse in the world why they can't do it, what do? You now you get rid of that person. You either retrain them, try to retrain them, or if they can't do it, you fire them and you bring somebody in that can do the job. Why should we do any less for somebody who asked for the job of president of the United States? No reason. It's the same thing. Now I realize that's what voting is, but we are under a slow-mo HRC, in my opinion, with all the evidence I've seen. But TJ Jones, thank you for saying you respectfully disagree. That's fine. Yeah, Jesse, Trump is now just the NWO talking head, powerless, and I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. Bill Gates and Fauci and Kissinger and Xi Jinping and the whole NWO is in control now more than ever before. Oh, Janet Littleworth. I'm going to read this. Hope you don't mind. Boy, do I feel duped. Every morning I wake up at 4 a.m. with tears in my eyes. I love my husband. Oh, bless you. And family so much I feel helpless, like all I can do is pray, but want to do much more. You just cling on to your family there, Janet. That's what you need to do. You just cling to them like you've never clung to them before. That's funny. Robert McKenzie says, I'm sure 500 people here would get on a bus to D.C. Go, plan, go now. After the Venezuela strike, it's toast. I mentioned that to my doctor because he's very similar to me in a lot of ways. And, he told me the truth about it. I'm not sure about all of you all, but he convinced me that if he and I got on an airplane and went back to D.C., the plane would never make it. Seriously. I think now is the time to give up on D.C. because they're coming to you. So you just need to prepare yourselves where you are. Prep, pray, stay out of the way, because at this point, honestly, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, do you really? I keep hearing people say, oh, the United States is the largest armed camp in the whole world. But they're not organized, ladies and gentlemen. So Robert McKenzie, you would say to organize. They've anticipated all this. They have their little eyes and ears everywhere. If they're snitching on their neighbor for lifting weights in their garage, in their driveway, You don't think that they're not going to infiltrate every effort you make to organize? They've even gotten into the state governments. You think these governors and mayors are doing these things on their own? No. They're being encouraged to do it by these very same people. They're everywhere. You're going to have to rely on those that you've trusted most of your life, and you're going to have to hunker down where you are or in your little space. And I don't mean in your home. I mean, your neighborhood or whatever. Try to make a difference there, because you're not going to make a difference in D.C. It's going to be destroyed. There are other things that say that, and I put it out on a Twitter post and on the community board here, that the United States will be destroyed in one day. And that may have already happened, but the worst is yet to come. And because of all the reasons I've already talked about here with all you folks. And there aren't 500,000 sealed indictments that they're going to deliver. Nope, that ain't going to happen. Yeah, case also, Obama finally admitted to being from Kenya. Yeah, where was the Congress and the Senate in vetting Obama back when he ran for president? They're all lawless, ladies and gentlemen. They're all lawless. Even Rand Paul should have said something, and he didn't. They're all lawless, all of them. No, that's not a good enough reason, Brian Wilson. He says maybe Trump doesn't want deep state POS, Pence speaking with the seal. The president's there. Okay, no, that's not it. That's not it at all. Something else is going on. And thank you, Jesse, for taking care, and Kay for taking care of the people that are being nasty. I appreciate that. We don't need them here. Italy got hit hard because they were bringing in Chinese people in the Lombardy region, I think it is, to work in the shops and factories there making Italy goods. And they were flying back and forth from China. So they just seeded that place with disease. Plus, they're older people, the 5G, all that. Frankly, I didn't even think Italy had 5G when this whole thing started. I didn't think they did, but apparently they do, from what I've heard. I don't know that for a fact, but that's what I've heard. Michael Powell says, call them Faust and Burst instead of Fauci and Burks. And there's a lot of truth to that, isn't there? Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. Yeah, Israeli News Live, Mary MEL. Yeah, Israeli News Live is giving dire warnings about the missing seal and a lot of other things. And I think he's right on. Of course, I would, right? And I don't follow them that close. I mean, I like a lot of the stuff they say. I agree with their position on how they look at Israel, because I know the Orthodox. I also understand where the Kabbalist Lubavitchers are, which is where, by the way, if you don't know this, I may have confused you there. A lot of Orthodox people aren't Zionists. Okay, you just got to know that. The Lubavitchers, Kabbalists are, and that's where. And I don't agree with them. They thought that Rabbi Schneerson was the Messiah. He died, and they've been looking for another one. Guess where Kushner comes from? The Lubavitchers, the Kabbalist Lubavitchers. Isn't that interesting? I wish that may. I believe that Robin Feynman initially. I don't anymore. You're saying he's letting them be shown to the public so they don't feel you do. Well, in other words, you're saying that Trump is in just letting them show how bad they are, giving them their rope to hang themselves. Well, I'm sorry, Robin, but who's being hung right now? Who's being hung? You got to open your eyes. Who's suffering right now? Who's going through the real pain? Because that's what they said. Oh, pain is coming. Who's experiencing the pain now? Is it Comey? Is it Rosenstein? Is it Hillary? Etc. Is it Brennan, Clapper, Hayden, Ray? Who's feeling the pain, Robin? We've been had. We've been had. And they're taking us down. Not saying we didn't deserve it because we latched onto their evil, as I explained before. We went along with the killing of babies, not just in utero and abortion, but also now infanticide after they're born. Northam was up front with that. I told you if Trump didn't act on that, God was going to destroy him and probably us. Attack the Second Amendment, steal from the widows and the orphans. Oh. Unjust wars. This thing, and now they're again. What do? They don't repent. They send carrier groups into outside of Venezuela. That's their response to their own wickedness, their own evil. They don't clean up their own house. They blame their dirtiness on somebody else. They haven't repented and they're not going to. They're going to have to be destroyed. And we're going to have to be careful not to be involved in it. It's just the way it is. I'm so sorry. I'm just so sorry. It doesn't make me happy because a lot of us are going to be hurt really bad by this. Yeah. Sister in Christ. They canceled all elective surgeries, which is the lifeblood of hospitals. Exactly. It's like my doctor said. It isn't what they're... Again, not that this thing isn't serious, but they're using it to take us... They're using it to enslave us. Yeah, at K Smalls, exactly. We should see an increase in money, but that's not happening. It's a deliberate takedown to put us into slavery. I mean, we've been in slavery since 1913, but this is the final smash. That's why I said I don't think this is a beta test. I think they're going all the way this time. And yeah, what else can I say? They know we can't organize. I started to say that. The problem with this being an armed camp is we don't organize. You can have the largest army in the world, but if they're just a ragtag bunch of people with their guns, they've never trained together, they don't know tactics, they don't understand strategy, they don't know how to fight with each other. When I say fight with each other, I mean on the same team. A smaller force can defeat them. Don't kid yourself. The entire United States could rise up in an armed camp and they could be defeated by a well-organized army. Okay? It isn't like you think. The only thing that your weapons are going to do for you, and rightly so, is to defend you against these robbers, these bandits, these thieves, these killers, these rapists, these pedophiles, these gangs, these cartels, the jihadists, etc., that are going to run through this country rampant. Government's not going to be here. Oh, they'll put the government out on the streets, but guess who they're going to be controlling? They can't fight those groups. Those groups are organized. Do you understand what I'm telling you? They are organized by and large. In one way or another, they're organized. No, they're coming after you and me. That's who they want to control. Yeah, a lot of cash is stopping now. I brought that up about a week ago or so. BP Earthwatch asked me about it. And it wasn't Walmart at the time, but now that we see they're taking out seeds and some of these other things, I'll bet you the Walmart shuts down the cash before much longer. And there's really no reason to. And I explained that ink on paper is actually a disinfectant. In emergencies, EMTs are trained to use newspapers, for instance. Okay, I don't think cash is the problem. It's just an excuse to get rid of it. Brian Wilson, thank you. I travel all the time. Of course, now it's going to be restricted, I think. They haven't shut out any of the, other than California. I won't go into California. But the other places I go to are still open at this point, but that'll stop shortly. They're going, despite the fact that this thing has been shown to be overblown, they've got us in the noose now and they're not going to let us out. I don't believe that Trump's going to let us go April 30th. I don't believe they'll come up with another excuse. By then, whatever this thing is, that the asteroid or whatever happens in the middle of April, they don't have to abide by their promises, not at all. And I don't think they have any intention. Hantavirus, good point, because now China's supposedly having a problem with the hantavirus. Hillary, I'm not sure how to say, is Hilarion. I'm not sure. Anyway, Hillary, yes, that's true. Hantavirus is from mice, primarily the mice droppings. They carry the hantavirus. It was a big issue, I think, back in the 90s or the 80s that we were experiencing some of that here, and they were telling you, not to go into where there are a lot of mice droppings or things. If you're going to clean it up, to wear a mask, right? Because the hantavirus was in the droppings and in the dander and those types of things. Yeah, that's a problem. But see, that'll just be the next excuse, and that can be simply taken care of. That's not transferred, as far as I know, from person to person. But they could use that as an excuse. Yeah, they're always going to have an excuse to clamp down on your freedoms, and like Chris Ann Hall points out, and Mark Pantano, and many others, the Constitution doesn't get suspended because of a pandemic. If anything, it should be enforced stronger. If anything, it should be enforced stronger. Yeah, that's right, full circle. And POTUS still allows the propaganda to be legal. To be legal. Why didn't he repeal? Why didn't he at least write an executive order saying, the agencies, we're not going to abide by the NDAA that gave these intelligence agencies the right to propagandize and even pay him for it. Yeah, he's done nothing. He's done nothing. He's a big showman. He's there because he proved he could put on a good show. And that's what he's done. Diverting us from the truth while they got their agenda moved forward. Because they knew they couldn't do it under Hillary, we would have revolted. That's exactly what he's been doing. I feel bad. And if Melania wasn't a part of this, I feel bad for her, in a way. I mean, she's still a millionaire in her own right. But I'm not saying that she is in on it or not. I really don't know. Okay, man, I won't get through all these. We've already been an hour and 10 minutes. Wow, there's a lot of you on here. My gosh, holy cow! Yeah, a lot of you on here. I'm sorry I didn't get to y'all. Ventilators will kill you. Yeah, again, they damage the lungs. What you really need is O2 and drugs that will help you to regain, help your hemoglobin regain the ability to hold on to the oxygen until it gets to the cells where the CO2 oxygen exchange can take place. Yes, that's absolutely true. Okay, I'm sorry I didn't get to anybody. Boy, these comments just get going so fast that there's no way I can keep up with it. Even when I start at the end, you guys are so far ahead. I'm going. I'm just going. I know I'm making a clicking sound as I use this, but let me just see if I can get. Yeah, I'm not even going to get to the bottom of the list. Thank you all for coming. The destruction of the United States is here. It's happening. It actually started when we traded our freedoms for porridge back in 1913. That's when it really started. And this has been a long planned process. They didn't turn up the water immediately and throw us in boiling water. They've increased the temperature slowly. Why? Because they wanted to bleed us out. They wanted to steal our labor and our sweat and our blood. Maybe they're speeding up their program because they know that the archangels are coming. Maybe they know that. Maybe we'll talk about some of that spiritual stuff some other time. God bless you all today, tomorrow, tonight. Again, to the lady who talked about loving her family and she's so distressed, that's where your anchors are. Let that emotion overflow and give you joy. Okay, out here for now, everybody. Thanks for coming.